Hello, everybody. You are watching Passion Project, and I'm your host, Cat Margulis. And today I have one of my favorite artists and photographers, Claire Dam. And Claire is, her photography is incredible. And she explores the rawness and vulnerability of women's journeys with fertility, transformation, connection with other women, and grief. And so I'm so excited to have her talk about art, truth, and radical honesty today. So let me welcome Claire. Hi, Claire. Welcome to Passion Project.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to do this for so long. I am such a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, just the biggest fan. So tell me, like, I'm fascinated with what you do because it's so raw, it's so honest, and it's so evocative. Like, I get really emotional when I see your work, especially on Instagram. It's just it's an anomaly in that space. And I wonder, like, how did you come to this? You know, it takes a lot of balls to show up this way. Was this how did you get here? How did you land here?
Yeah, I think it's been a long journey. It's like I've been sick on and off since I was a kid. And because of that, I had a lot of privacy and kind of trust issues because I think what would happen is as I got older, I would be talking to someone about my health issues as a kid, and they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, we knew that because your parents had told us." Right? And so all of a sudden you're like, oh gosh, like who's walking around knowing really intimate details about my life that I thought I could share? So that made me really, really private and closed off, even with my closest friends for a long time, where I was just very, very private. And there was just a lot of trust issues there and stuff. And I wanted people to
now you put it all out there. Now it's like unfiltered.
I know. Now it's all out there. Well, what happened? I kind of reached a breaking point where I was just like, I need to express all this stuff, and I might go crazy if I don't. So, yeah. So literally, I got to a breaking point. You just break and break and break, kind of the way life does that to you, and and then I just thought, well, screw it. I'm in charge of telling my story, so I'm going to tell it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did your photography that you do a lot of like portraiture, right? Where it's very revealing of your subjects. Like, did you do that first with yourself before people started coming to you for that? Or did you, I'm curious, like.
No. No, it's the opposite. So it started, it started with just working with people who I was friends with and I'd shot with before. And I'd be like, hey, so I have an idea. Do you want to take all your clothes off? and some people, like the people I asked were like, sure, yeah, let's do it. And so we did, and it was great. And it wasn't until I had more health issues in the past couple of years that I started showing more of my skin. I didn't really have a reason to. I preferred using someone else. Like if I'm working with someone else, like a model, they're often reflecting something that I'm, thinking about anyway.
Yeah.
So they represent me in a sense. But so between like being kind of isolated and also wanting this to be a private experience, I only had my own body to photograph.
Yeah.
And I wanted to document. I wanted there to be witnesses to it. Have you ever seen the movie Mad Max, the most recent one?
No, not the most recent one.
It's really good. It's with Charlize Theron, and there's these like minions of the bad guy, and they're all kamikazes, right? And so right before they go and they kamikaze themselves, they'll look at all their other minions and they'll be like, witness me. And then they'll kamikaze themselves and whatever. And that just like stuck with me so hard as I'm traveling through hard things of being like something in me screaming like, witness me. And that kind of gave me the courage to show more and more skin.
And isn't it interesting? Like, I feel like when you say witness me, I mean, I don't know what your response is from the people that are like witnessing your art, but you reflect them back to them. So witness me is witness you.
And that was not, I did not mean to do that.
Yeah.
Like when I first was kind of announcing to everybody, like, screw this, I'm going to be totally vulnerable and honest because you only live once, and I can't not do this I can't pretend anymore. I was just doing it for me, and I happened to have a platform where I could do that. But yeah, you're right. All of a sudden, people are contacting me about how this has affected them. And also, I was getting, people were telling me all kinds of their secrets and stuff, which was, it was bizarre. Like, not in like a needy way or like a, now we have to be best friends kind of way. It was just like, it was almost like I don't want to call myself a priest, but it was like a confessional. Like, people would just message me and just confess this stuff and kind of be on their way.
Yeah, it's like you created a space to show up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was pretty neat.
So what was the response from people when you started posting, like, and just revealing yourself so authentically and vulnerably and courageously?
Yeah, it was a mix. I mean, I think like a lot of people were really supportive, which is great. Like, because I was going through so much, like, not just physically, there was a lot going on in my life and people dying and things. There was just a lot going on that people had a lot of compassion. Just they were, I'm sure it made them uncomfortable to see someone processing grief so out there. But the feedback was mostly good. And like, if you're gonna look at it from a numbers point of view, some of my like most liked and most shared and saved images are the ones of me, which as a photographer of other people, you kind of, it's kind of not what I was aiming for, but but it's nice.
And also, I mean, to a certain extent, I imagine you can get away, you can do, there's like a level of like, discretion and respect when you have a subject of how far you can go, where with yourself, you've really been able to explore how far will you go. And then people want to be on that journey with you.
A lot of them do. Some of them don't. I'm sure we've all had that app on our phone that tells us when we've lost followers and gained followers. Have you ever had that?
No.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Terrible. So it it tracks and stuff, and it's basically like a bitterness meter, so you can keep track of who doesn't follow you and then you find out, you're like, oh, they don't follow me. Anyway, so very briefly, when I started this, I had that, and I was tracking it a little. And anytime I post nudes, they're not fully nude, as you know, but anytime I posted images that were very vulnerable and lots of skin of a model, the numbers, I might lose one or two. It wasn't a big deal. But then I'd gain a few.
Yeah.
And then when I was posting pictures of me, I was losing tons. And I was losing friends and like acquaintances, like people who knew me, wasn't strangers. Yeah. So I deleted the app because I didn't want to be running into these people. Like, I knew one person I knew I could run into, and I'm like, this is going to be weird. So I just got rid of it. But yeah, that was really disappointing, and it happens every time.
Yeah.
If I post something about me, people who know me, a few of them will leave. So,
and are you mostly going to Instagram, or it goes to Facebook, or is it like the platform, or it's the people that can't? It's just too much for them.
I think it's the people. It's too much for them.
Yeah,
it's possible because they know me too. Whereas when I've had very vulnerable images of models, they don't care as much. But me, and they know me. It's just too much. And God bless them. They're not there yet.
Yes,
to like embrace grief. Something that we all have to go through, but. Yeah, it's sad. It's still sad. It makes me sad. I try not to watch the numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, to a certain extent, it just, yeah, it shows where they're at. Like, that they're
Yep.
not ready for that. And it's not about you, it's
Right.
really about them and what they're comfortable exploring within themselves.
Absolutely.
That they're not ready
and
for their,
Right, and they're not ready for it, and they disagree with it on moral grounds and stuff, and that's fine. I think that whatever. Like my husband and I are like, we're Christians and stuff, and I always check in with him. I'm like, hey, this is what I want to post. If there's any red flags, let me know, and we'll talk about it. And 99% of the time, he's like, nope. And if he does have a red flag, we'll talk about it. And usually it's fine. But like, I want to honor him because he's my husband and people know he's my husband and he works, I just want to honor what his comfort level. And it's never been an issue. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as Ken is comfortable, then I'm comfortable.
What do you
so, and everyone else.
What are you working toward? Like,
go ahead.
Yeah, what are you working toward? Like, where do you see this exploration going? You did this Instagram story. I hope, like, is that living somewhere? Because the stories just come and go, right? And you did this, like, I think it should have won an Oscar, except it's, not fiction, but, that incredible Insta story, which was like a culmination of so many stories. And it was just a masterpiece. Does that live somewhere?
Which one are you talking about?
The one, it was like so many stories. It was like a movie. It was like watching a movie.
I don't even remember. Was it images or an actual movie?
It was in your Insta stories.
That makes a lot of sense.
It was like in the Insta stories, but it was like it had an arc. It wasn't like each one was its own thing. It was like a full movie,
Like of still images?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. But it might have been like a year ago. It might have been like we've been talking a long time. But it was amazing. I'm like, I hope you see that and put it somewhere.
I don't know. I mean, stories are saved forever. I could probably find it, but I posted a lot of stories.
A lot. It was amazing because it wasn't just like, today, this is this moment, this is that moment. It was like a full story with a full arc. And I don't know, maybe it was you just putting your whole story into like a short film almost.
Was it when I was sick in the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's saved there. Yeah, I have that. Yeah, it is. I think it's under like health journey or something.
Okay, it could have been that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's intense. You got to sit down for a while.
Yeah. So, like, are you doing anything with it besides it living on Instagram? Like, is there some where you're submitting it or like turning it into something?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanna complete the Fruitful Woman series, which I've been working on for like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And that'll be done this spring. So done.
Great. Tell us about the Fruitful Woman. What is it?
Yeah, Fruitful Woman, it was started a couple of years ago. So I'm barren or fertile or whatever you want to say. And I was just thinking about the idea of fruit with the seeds inside and the fruitfulness of fruit and being quite literal about it. And then just exploring women's relationship with fruitfulness, like their own fruitfulness and the choices around it and things that happen. And so it always incorporates some kind of fruit. So it can be kind of gory. It can be quite tongue-in-cheek. It can be pretty heavy. It's been really fun. I haven't shared any images. I've shared some like rejected images.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're all secret. I can't wait. There's some of them that I would put on a t-shirt and wear every day if I could. I love that.
And so what is it going to be? Is it going to be like a show, and as much as we can do a show these days?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do a show at my house. Cool. And it's going to be it's men can come, but it'll be very heavily focused towards women, like of childbearing age. Yeah, because there's just there's so many stories in there, and there's so much we don't talk about, but there's so much that's normal. And so I think part of the exhibit will be, showing the images, but also I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experience, and then some of my models are going to come up, because I chose specific models based on some of their fertility history. Some of them I knew their fertility history. Yeah, so there was a surrogate mom.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is me, actually, I'm in one of them, with a surrogate mom. So she's had 3 of her own kids, and she's had done 2 surrogacy pregnancies. And because I've adopted, we did kind of this passing of the fruit thing for our image between the surrogate mom and me. So she's going to come up and speak. It's I don't know. It's taking shape, but I'm very excited. I'm also very excited to get it over with so I can move on.
Because like the images, like your fertility, your pregnancy portraits, are they part of that series, or they're just, what you've been doing also in addition to that, people coming to you for that?
Oh, no. This is all stuff that, this is all unpaid work. Yeah. So this is all separate stuff where I've requested a model, and she's come in and we've worked together and stuff. Yeah.
So it's most of the stuff that you share, is that most of that's your passion work, right? That's not been like the professional stuff, I guess, like the paid for work.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's a mix. And I'm very torn about that, because it can be confusing. I mean, I was a wedding photographer for a long time, and kind of one of the cardinal sins is confusing your client by putting on personal work, right? Because then if you have a bride, right? You have a bride come to your Instagram page, and she's just like tunnel vision for wedding photographer. And then, so I'm playing with a plug. And then if you have other images on there, then it can confuse them. I don't know. But that is the rule. That's the theory. So you want to keep it very, focused and stuff. And I cannot do that. I've been I'm terrible with that. And like having a genre or having a niche. They're always like, pick a niche. And I'm like, oh, that's boring. But anyway, more
you are a niche. You are a niche. I just am.
I know. But more and more, I'd say it's like 50-50 of my work and my clients, work from my clients. But the work from my clients is they're melding more and more, because I'm doing more artful stuff with them.
Yeah. Do you find, are people asking for you to go there with them? That they seek you out for that, like a totally different kind of portraiture or pregnancy shot than they'll get anywhere else. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So a lot more film, which is fun. And just a lot more, just artful stuff, like less portraiture and more like, let's try and create a piece of art. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but it's fun.
Yeah. When you did that Instagram story, like I got a real, like, it felt like a movie experience for me. Is that something you would explore or have wanted to explore, was filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, I've made tons of little movies before. That's something I do for fun a lot. I don't know, man. I've got so many ideas.
Yeah. And you're an incredible writer too, because I mean, it's not just like, here's a photo and a bunch of hashtags. Like there's a lot of storytelling too, often. So
yeah, I do love writing. Yeah. I guess I have a few projects in the works, like that I am planning on after Fruitful Woman is done. And one of them does include a book, 2 books actually. Yeah, which is
absolutely.
Really
could Fruitful Woman be a book? Do you see that being like a coffee table book or something like that?
I mean, if someone wanted to, was going to approach me about it, absolutely. But it's been so many years. I am happy to put Fruitful Woman in a nice little coffee table book for myself and move on. But
so, like, when do you know you're complete? Like, you're saying that this has been a long process. Was it a long process because you were in the process of discovering it, and then you discovered it, and you're like, now this is what I'm doing, or How do you know you're complete? When do you know?
Yeah. How do you know you're complete? I don't know. I keep all my like I print out the images like 8 by 12 and I put them in a binder and then I pull them out every once in a while and I redo them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just know there's some pieces missing. I know there's parts of the story that are missing.
Yeah.
I know that there's an older demographic that I need to work with, and it's really difficult to find older women like 60 plus, 60, 70, 80 who will work with me. And I live with my mom, and she's 75 and she won't do it. So that's been really difficult. And then also because of COVID and stuff, I've been on a bit of a hiatus working with people.
Yeah.
And I was all geared up to do some stuff. There's a few demographics that I really want to include. And then I'll feel like it's more of a whole piece. Even though this topic, as far as I can tell, it could go on forever.
Yeah.
Like there's so much to mine out of this. There's so much storytelling. Yeah, and it's really neat. I did a little video of a recent photo. So I was working on the photo and I did a video. It was with the cherries. Did you see that?
No.
So I was getting the seed. I had a cherry pitter and I was pitting all the cherries. Yeah. And then I was pinning them to board. And then I put a video up on Instagram and I said to people, so this is Fruitful Woman. What do you think I'm trying to say? And I have never had so much feedback on anything.
Oh, that's cool.
It was actually really moving.
Yeah.
Just like people, for one thing, people knew they could just say to me, like, they could just say, is it abortion? Is it this? Is it blood clots? There was so much freedom in how people could speak to me that I was like, this is cool. I feel like we've got a thing going on now where people know they can just be like open.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't tell them. It's a surprise because I'm like, well, you'll have to come to my show to find out.
Yeah.
But some people, I think only 2 or 3 people out of 100 or so guessed correctly. So,
do you ever become immune to like the vulnerability of it, to having these, asking for feedback, to talking about these things that people normally don't want to talk about? Like you just become so emboldened, or is it like every time cringe, but I'm going to do it anyway?
No, actually that's funny that you said that, because that time I did that with the cherries. I was so proud of myself because this cherries idea I'd been percolating on for a year, and it all kind of came together. And then I did it, and I was just so pleased with myself. I was so excited. But the concept of the cherries is actually really dark.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Hey guys, can you guess?" And people are guessing, and I'm like, "Nope, you didn't get it." And then I realized I'm like, "Oh, I should maybe be a bit more like take it down a few notches because this is so heavy." But I was just so pleased with how it was going in the engagement, and I don't know. So yes, I can get a little bit desensitized in the moment, just in the moment. But no, when I'm working with models, especially when I work with a model, I'll often ask them what their fertility story is, and I hope that can influence where the shoot goes, because I'll have a loose idea of what I want to do.
Yeah. And
then if they give me some keywords or something, then we can work that in. So it becomes quite personal. So there's a lot of models who their images are actually they're a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about them. It's a story about them and their choices with fertility, or their lack of choice with fertility. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that it can be quite intense, but fun.
Is it hard to find people who are willing to share their stories with you, or do you feel like?
I think anyone who agrees to model these days knows they're going to have to take their clothes off. So they're already feeling vulnerable. Like they're already
Mhm.
prepared to be vulnerable. So no, it's been good. I think some people just don't know. Some people
Mhm.
just haven't thought about it.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing.
And like originally this was about witness me, witness you. Do you feel like you're up to something else now? Do you feel like you've got a greater purpose or mission now?
Gosh, I think just carrying on with the same message, really,
Mhm.
like being vulnerable, being brutally vulnerable can't get old. Like you
Mm.
can't, it's just, we need it today. We need truth. People
Mhm.
need the truth and they need connection. And when we're living in this glossy Instagram world, I feel like at times, like when I first started, less so now because I think people are used to it. But when I first started, it felt like people were thirsty. Like
Mhm.
when I would put content out,
Mhm.
it was weird. But yeah, they were thirsty for this just vulnerability and stuff.
Mhm.
So I guess what I would like eventually, and I was doing some workshops before lockdowns and COVID and stuff,
Mhm.
is to in my workshops is to get people to explore vulnerability more. So many
Mhm.
photography workshops are like copy me, copy how I shoot, copy how I edit, and
Mm.
I don't approve of that because everyone's got their own style and stuff.
Yeah.
I want people like at my workshops, I want people to go away with new tools and new techniques and stuff to apply to their own style and their own
Mhm.
story, not copying my style.
Yeah.
And part of that is being really vulnerable. Like, what is your style and what do you like? And yeah, so workshops hopefully,
Mhm.
and yeah, I have thought about putting together. There's two shows or two things I'm considering is putting together a little thing about my time being sick because I have a lot of pictures of being in the hospital and afterwards the aftermath of being really sick
Mhm.
and then I also, excuse me, it's kind of tied in, but images with my daughter, and
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
whole story there because um, we adopted her, and then 2 weeks after we adopted her, um, my parents live in an in-law suite attached to the house,
Mhm.
and 2 weeks after we adopted her, my mom suffered a massive heart attack and went
Mhm.
into cardiac arrest at home with me. And the ambulance arrived and they resuscitated her a number of times on the way to the hospital. And she had
Mhm.
surgery and she recovered. It's amazing.
Mhm.
And then exactly a week after that, I got a phone call that my best friend, like best friend since childhood, sister friend, was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Mhm.
And she had just moved to New Brunswick for work. And so I'm dealing with my mom, who's recovering really well, but I'm still kind of a caretaker. I have
Mhm.
this new daughter who's 15 months. And, that's busy,
Yeah.
full of emotion, 15-month-old girl. And then my friend, and so I was gone a lot. I was gone with my mom. I was gone
Mhm.
out east to be with my
Mhm.
friend. Um, and then my friend passed away in March. And then shortly after that, I was rushed into the hospital to have surgery because they thought I had ovarian cancer, where I stayed at the hospital for 3 months.
Mhm.
And then I came home and that wasn't good either. But basically what I'm saying is my relationship with my daughter has been shaky. Like we
Mhm.
never had time to connect, but we connect in these photos and we do a lot of shoots together.
Oh.
And the more I collect them, and they're just very precious.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about doing something like that with them. Yeah. So she has a good time doing those. She's a good muse.
And so are those the books that you have in mind, or you have other books in mind?
Oh no, I've got other books in mind.
Nice.
Yes. I have I wrote a kid's poem a really long time ago, and I didn't do much with it. And then my husband read it, and he's like, "This is really good." And I'm like, And then I sent it to a friend who actually edits children's books, and she's like, "This is good. You should do it." So there's that, and then the other one is actually writing about the story of my friendship with my friend who passed away, mixed in with a lot of fantasy. She was a dreamer. She was a dreamer. She lived a life of fantasy. She literally
This is a great book. It's a movie already. Get it done.
I know. It's incredible. And the dreams, she would make massive life decisions based on a dream. And she was quite a human being.
Oh, wow.
So absolutely. Incredible. Yeah. I feel like I need to process that by writing. So, yeah, there's so much to do. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do, but yeah, I'm such a fan of you. So just keep putting it out, because I just can't wait to hear more and see more about these projects and everything else. You're incredible. So talented. So where can everybody find you? Where can they find your work? Well, I'm taking a break from Instagram right now because that is sucking out my soul. Is that bad to say? But it is. It's just, oh my gosh. People who are on there all the time. Detoxing. I'm detoxing for sure. And it's really, really good. Yeah. Detoxing, I'm recentering, I'm kind of figuring out what my goals are and stuff. But you can still see tons of old content on Instagram. And that's at Claire Dam Photography, I think. What's the Claire.dam. It's just Claire.dam. Okay. Yeah. And I wouldn't go to my Facebook and I wouldn't go to my website because they're not updated very often. Just go to Instagram. That's the best place to find me. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Claire, for chatting with us today. I encourage everybody to go check out her work. She's incredible. And I can't wait to follow up with you and follow up with everything that you're up to. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun. Bye. Bye.